Every successful car-sharing business needs a business plan. And at the foundation of every business plan is a market analysis. When you really understand your local market, you can better tailor your business to meet your guests' needs. That means knowing what kind of cars to list and how to price them. Every location is unique, and that results in a unique car-sharing market wherever you are. I'm going to talk you through how to analyze your local market to understand your location and guests, your area's travel trends, and how to research your competition. Lastly, I'll cover how to differentiate your business. This market analysis will help you stay competitive and be more successful in your particular location. Every place has its own distinct travel patterns, transit infrastructure, popular activities, and parking availability. What's your region known for? Make a list of what might attract people to your area. Write down transit hubs, events, conferences, outdoor activities, and popular attractions. Do people tend to come to your area for work trips, romantic getaways, outdoor adventures, or family vacations? Think about attractions in the surrounding areas too, since people might want to drive to nearby destinations.
We have major sporting teams here, and we also have a ton of festivals that allow people to come into the city. I've listed certain cars that I know work. I have small SUVs, I have mid-sized sedans, I have small economical cars. New Orleans is a great place for those vehicles. Some of the challenges may be some of the weather here locally causes problems with flooding and other things which causes people to have trouble moving around.
Being in Vancouver has been great for our business. We have the cruise ships that come in, the main one. We have probably the top airports in the city, and being in Richmond specifically, I'm 15 minutes away from the airport. So having that be the foundation of my business has really helped. When I look at the landscape of Vancouver, for example, a lot of people go to the ski resorts. For the summertime, they go down to the beach, and I just want to make sure that they're comfortable in all aspects. So when I add vehicles, I really look at how can I target most of the tourists that come here and what they're trying to do.
So when I'm looking at cars to buy, the first thing I look at is what type of guest I'm buying this car for. How often does that guest come to your city? How often is that guest gonna need that car? There are certain features on cars that they like to have, and they might come standard on a vehicle, but not standard on another. So that's a very simple thing to look at that guests enjoy, and they might like a car for that specific reason.
Guests can be locals, travelers from a different part of the country, or international travelers. Your location might tend to get one or two of these types of guests, or a mix of all three. Similarly, you might want to build a business that targets one of these groups, or to take a more inclusive approach. Write down which categories of guests you've attracted so far, and start thinking about who you'd like to attract. Really taking the time to understand your location and guests will help you make informed decisions about what cars to buy and what extras to offer.
I've always looked at cars that have all-wheel drive and have great space for families. To get to the really nice spots in Vancouver, you gotta go through a few highways that are really icy and snowy at times. So some of the challenges is to make sure your car is in tip-top condition with snow tires, with chains if needed. The most challenging part is really making sure you're there for your guests and make sure your vehicle is in good condition to battle some of those terrains.
One thing that we found that's been extremely successful, especially because of the amount of traveling that people are doing, is providing a picnic basket option, which has food for them as soon as they arrive. So finding out what guests are going to be doing on their trip and providing them extras that will help support in their experience.
When is your market busiest? Some areas have predictable, busier, and quieter times throughout the year that may or may not be tied to the weather. In car sharing, supply is the number of vehicles available, and demand is the number of guests who want to book vehicles. When demand in a particular market is high, we call that peak season. And when demand is low, it's the off-peak season. The bigger the difference, the more seasonal a market is, and the periods between a market's peak and off-peak seasons are called shoulder seasons. Demand also tends to be higher on weekends and lower during the week. Demand for vehicles can also be boosted by holidays and events in your market like long weekends, sporting events, and festivals. It's a good idea to create a calendar of events and adjust your prices accordingly. More generally, when you understand the times of the year when demand is higher and lower in your area, you can adjust your prices and inventory to stay competitive.
So the business here is affected by peak seasons and off-peak seasons, basically based on festivals. Summer months are obviously very active. The season may drop off a little bit after January, but then it picks right back up. I do certain things here to make the most of peak and off-peak seasons, mainly around pricing and having the cars available and ready. If you adjust your pricing to the market, you're gonna rent your cars out and they're gonna stay out. And if I have to adjust my pricing up or down based on a festival or sporting event, I'm quick to do so.
I feel like being in Vancouver, there's no really off or season per se, because in the summertime we've got the most beautiful beaches in the city, and in the wintertime we've got ski and snowboard resorts maybe within 2 or 3 hours away. Summer is definitely our peak season, and I would say the fall would be our slower season, but even then a lot of locals book our cars. You have to look at your competition, you have to look at what other hosts are doing, and you got to communicate with the Turo community. When you do that, or when you get to know your community or get to know what other hosts are doing, and really help you elevate your business.
Here are some tips to help make the most of your market's peak season. Keep an eye on rates from other hosts and rental car companies in your area and raise prices if appropriate. Consider increasing your last-minute boost pricing if demand is high. Set a 2-day trip minimum for weekend bookings. And finally, set holiday rates in advance. Here are some tips for your off-peak season. Research the market rate and consider setting your prices a little lower than the competition. If you're trying to maximize your earnings, more bookings at a slightly lower price could be better than fewer bookings at market rate. Adjust your settings to allow for shorter trips, remove last-minute boost pricing, and shorten your advance notice if it works with your schedule. Set up discounts for longer trips or increase your existing discounts a little. Offer delivery. For newer listings, focus on building experience and getting great reviews. Expand into high-demand areas by finding new parking options or offering delivery. Refresh your portfolio with makes and models that might be more popular. And catch up on vehicle maintenance. If you're in an area with lower demand year-round, embrace a pioneer mindset and focus on building your business before anyone else does. As more people in your area learn about Turo, guests will be drawn to your listing since you'll have the most reviews and experience. Next, research your competition. That's rental car companies and other Turo hosts. What kinds of vehicles are you seeing and how are they priced? You might find that your local rental car companies have lots of low-priced vehicles, or conversely, that their inventory is low and only premium vehicles are left. We recommend searching for vehicles in the Turo app a few weeks out. If you search for cars that are still available just a few days out, keep in mind that they're not necessarily performing well, so you shouldn't feel like you need to match their prices. In fact, if they're still available, it might mean that they're not getting booked. Based on what you're finding, are a lot of cars available? Do you think these cars might be priced too high? Could demand be low for a particular make and model? Also, remember that staying competitive doesn't mean a race to the bottom on price. For some hosts in some markets, that might work, but you might be leaving money on the table. So focus on those other ways to help your business stand out before you cut prices. After you've finished your market analysis, think about how you can differentiate your business. Basically, you can do this through selection, the experience you offer your guests, and pricing. Let's start with selection. When you offer exotics, luxury, or sports vehicles, you can appeal to guests who appreciate the novelty of driving something they can't get at the rental counter. You can offer your guests a different kind of experience too. This includes personalized service, convenience, like delivery or contactless check-in, and extras. After all, what rental car company provides picnic baskets and camping gear? Anything you can do to provide a 5-star experience will set you apart and help build your reputation as a great host. Pricing competitively for your market and seasonal demand are super important for having a successful business. It's a good idea to regularly benchmark pricing against other hosts and from time to time check out prices for local rental car companies. Then you can make adjustments to ensure you're priced competitively, which means keeping your prices attractive without selling yourself short.
I focus only on Jeeps. They're one of the vehicles with the most amount of modifications that can be done, so we get to trick out and modify our Jeeps as much as we want. It offers people an experience that maybe they wouldn't get in their hometown or maybe ever.
What I do to differentiate my business from the competition is be available all the time. Be able to have those interactions with the guests, have my cars available all the time, have my cars clean and safe and ready to drive at all times.
I know a few all-star hosts as well who are my friends now that we've built a relationship with over the years, and one of them is actually a mechanic. So every time I drop off a car for a regular maintenance or an oil change, we chat about what strategies we're using, what drop-off strategies we're using, what pricing you're doing. A bad customer experience is good customer experience. So I think that having that tight community around us has really helped elevate our business. And we kind of get together, I don't know, maybe once every 10 or 14 days, and we kind of just chat about how we can, make the business better for each other.
Remember that while you and other hosts may all be hoping to attract the same guests, you're also all part of the Turo community, and you can learn from each other. Helping each other improves the entire marketplace by ensuring everyone is offering good guest experiences that attract new and repeat business. Because a rising tide lifts all boats. Understanding your market helps you stay competitive, improve your chances of getting more bookings, and ultimately, earn more. So spend some time thinking critically about your area and your guests, how to optimize for your peak and off-peak seasons, and researching the competition so you can find ways to differentiate yourself.